If you want my answer yesterday.
Okay, we are in the Amud Yomi Shiur. We will talk about what we spoke about yesterday. But before that, let me just do the introduction. It's Shiur's Le'ilu Nishmas of Imorim Menachem Ben Akiva. Ay, ay, Yarei Shabbos El Chonon Yitzchok. And for the Hatzlacha of Klal Yisrael. So going back to the question of yesterday, first of all, we should know that we are in Kiddushin Daf Ayin Amud Beis in the bottom of the page. 3 lines from the bottom of Ayin Amud Beis. Welcome to people who watch us on Torah anytime and YouTube. Okay, so basically, yesterday the question was raised by parents. The question was as follows: we said yesterday that Ezra cleared, so to speak, he cleared away all the mamzerim from Bavel, and he said, "This guy's a mamzer. This one is it. This is the other." And maybe, but let's go by the order. And basically, in Bavel, he knew that in Bavel, the Beis Din are not going to do such a great job to separate the mamzerim from the kosher people. And therefore, Ezra said, okay, I will take the mamzerim with me. In Eretz Yisrael, they'll be under our, under our supervision. And in Bavel should be clean. And then parents asked the question that we saw yesterday, there were 400 avodim, or 4,000 avodim, 400 or 4,000 avodim. So the 400 or 4,000 people were fake kohanim, right? They were all the children, the descendants of Pashchur. In other words, they were not really his descendants. The avodim, one second, the avodim, nainim of Pashchur. Soon we're going to see who this Pashchur was. Not so simple. They faked it as if they were kohanim because they ate truma because they were avodim of a kohen, and they lied to everybody that they are kohanim. Well, really, in reality, they were avodim. The parents asked, how could Ezra miss such a thing? We see that Ezra cleared all the problems in Babel. So you said, Ellen answered yesterday that was only true if you forced them to go. But if you didn't force them to go, the mamzerim, they actually didn't want to go. Maybe some of them refused. Maybe those Pashchu descendants or wannabe descendants, maybe they really did not follow Ezra to Eretz Yisrael and they stayed there. Okay, that could be a good answer. I think I have another answer or even 2 answers. And by the way, we're only at the beginning of the sugya. We will see later all kinds of factors. Things change in history. There's also the question also is exactly where is Bavel? Yeah, there are different areas regarding the kashrus of the people. Yeah, like red zone, yellow zone, orange zone. There are different zones in Bavel, so that's also an answer. We'll see that later, not today. And my answer is, I'm not answering anything logical. I'm just answering something factual. Who did Ezra take with him from Bavel and forced them to go, or tried to make them go as much as possible? Mamzerim, Nesinim, Chalalim, all the problematic people who were known to be problematic, and Ezra knew it. Ezra singled them out and told them to go. Now, these people are neither. Those Pashchur clan are not Mamzerim, and they're not any of that. What are they? In reality, they are Avodim. If you noticed, none of the 10 types of people who came with Ezra are Avodim. So if they were really Avodim, right? Well, nobody says that Avodim went with Ezra. You can claim that this is not logical because it's a problem that a fake Eved will stay somewhere and marry people. That's true. But factually, it does not say that Ezra took care of fake Avodim. You can ask why. Good question. But if you look at the facts of the Mishnah, dry and hard facts, the 10 groups, none of them are Avodim. Another answer in the same direction would be, maybe they tricked Ezra. Maybe they pulled the wool over his eyes. And by the time of Ezra, we still thought that they are Kohanim. Not all Kohanim went with Ezra. Some Kohanim stayed in Bavel. So either they were Kohanim, they were thought to be Kohanim, so let them stay in Bavel. As we said, Ezra wasn't so hot on bringing Dafka everybody. The more the better. He was very anxious to bring the Mamzerim. But the Kohanim, okay, you come with me, good. If you don't. So if he thought they're Kohanim because they lied to him, they stayed in Bavel. I mean, if you want, you can stay. No. And if they're Avodim, it doesn't say that Ezra brought Avodim. So either way, either the Kohanim or Avodim, however they were defined, they were not one of the 10 groups that had to go. Another interesting fact about Pashchu, by the way, my friends, I checked in the Novi, I looked up the Novi. You know who this Pashchu was? Oy, 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 oy. This Pashchu was an important Kohen in the times of Bais Rishon, but he was not a nice guy at all. Pashchu heard the nevuah of Yirmiyahu. Yirmiyahu was a very unpopular person in his times because he told everyone that the Beis Hamikdash will be destroyed. You're going to move to Bavel, be exiled to Bavel. People didn't like to hear that, that frumy kind of nevuah. They preferred listening to Nevi'ei Sheker, who said, everything is good, all will be well. And then what? And then Pashchu basically hit him. Yeah, he smacked him and he put him in jail. So nice. Yeah, smacked him in public and then made sure that he goes to jail. Yirmiyahu. So Yirmiyahu was not exactly enamored with this Pashchur person, yeah? And he gave a special especially bad nevu on Pashchur, saying you'll go to Bovel and you'll stay in Bovel. So maybe, however that worked, maybe Pashchur and his descendants, really they're not even descendants, it's avodim. All his group, anybody who is in the Pashchu clan, the Pashchu group, maybe they had a special klala to stay in Bavel and never return, possibly. So therefore, even with Ezra, they didn't manage to make the aliyah, not even with Nefesh Benefesh. And by the way, just to finish off, Enechnami, Ezra did not bring them up, and there's a concern that they're going to mix up with other people. But apparently, maybe that's what the Gemara is coming to tell us, that it did not mix it with other people because they all stayed in the same town. Maybe now I'm thinking that's what the Gemara says, that they all stayed in Shiur de Pumbedisa. They all stayed in one area in Pumbedisa. Okay, or Shiur, yeah. Or Shiur de Nardo, right? Shiur de Nardo. In other words, they all stayed in the same place. So we all know we marked them, the marked people, let them stay in their own place, marry each other, and we all know to stay away. Good. So we're finishing off Ezra's job. I would continue quickly. Yeah, okay. Okay, now it's time to actually start the Shiur, today's material. Omar Rabbi Chelbo. This is a very loaded statement by Rabbi Chelbo. Koshim gerim l'Yisrael kesapachas. Gerim are difficult for Klal Yisrael, like tzaras, like a blemish. Yeah, like a tzaras. What does it mean? Shneimar. It says v'nil v'hager alehem v'nispachu al beis Yaakov. The ger will accompany Klal Yisrael, and they were nispach. Nispach is annexed. They'll be annexed to Beis Yaakov. They'll be annexed to Klal Yisrael. The word nispach as annexed, as added, is written here regarding gerim. Sapachas is also a type of tzaras. So gerim for Klal Yisrael is like tzaras. Of course, that is a very, very loaded, difficult a difficult statement to understand. We are told to respect the ger. We are supposed to love the gerim, and we're supposed to always give them, special respect and love. And the question is, obviously, why is Rabbi Chelbo saying what he's saying? So let's count how many pshatim we had. Rashi says something maybe not so much in their favor. He says the gerim, maybe especially the new ones, yeah, einam zeirim b'mitzvahs. The ger at the beginning, especially, yeah, they're not so careful with mitzvahs, right? They're not so knowledgeable. Yeah, and therefore says Rashi, "V'regilim etzlam nimshochim etzlam lomdim in maaseim." Those who are very accustomed to be around gerim, they are kind of, attracted to that lifestyle, and therefore they may come also to lower their standard. So that is one pshat, and that is Rashi. Tosfos has a few other pshatim. I'm not reading the whole Tosfos, but basically we can read inside if you want. The Tosfos Koshim Gerim, towards in the middle of the narrow lines of Tosfos, not in the middle, afterwards. Ve'esh meforshim. The Koshim Gerim L'Yisrael Kesapachas Lifi Shehizir HaKadosh Baruch Hu Aleim B'chavdalad Mekom Shelo Lo Nesoisom V'Yefshar Shelo Yitzarum. Says Tosfos, as you'd say, Gerim are liability, precisely because Gerim were supposed to be so careful. 24 places, and some say even more. So many times the Kadosh Baruch Hu says, don't bother the ger, don't be mitzar the ger. The ger should be treated with such respect. It's almost almost inevitable that at some point, chas v'shalom, we would hurt the ger's feelings, and that's our bed, right? In other words, yeah, the gerim are the china shop, and we are the bull. Yeah, in other words, something bad's going to happen from us to them, and we're so such concern we have towards them. So maybe we're not going to really do it the right way. So that's second pshat. How many pshatim? That's second. Third pshat, because of the gerim, we're in Golus. Why? Because this is a Hasidic idea, but it's not. It's written in the Gemara. The Gemara Psochim Pezayin says, why are Israel scattered all over the world? In other words, there are Jews in Poland, so you have Polish gerim. There are Jews in Guatemala, so you have Guatemala gerim. A ger, right, sees the Jews, and if HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to collect those sparks of neshamos, he makes sure the Jews are everywhere in order for the gerim to have something to be spiritually attracted to. So now that's very nice for them, but for us that's bad news because that's why Jews are all over the world, and not in Eretz Yisrael. So that's already a third pshat. Fourth pshat, Rabbi Avram Ger. There was one of the Balatosis, was the Ger himself, and he sees the Gemara, and it says that he is like a sapachas. Says Rabbi Avram Ger, keeping the pride of the Gerim. The Vishagerin bekim b'mitzvahs and mudakdikin be more than Jews, as happens often by new Balachuva, more enthusiastic, right? The Gerim, right, are more medakdik. We FFB, my rabbi, no. But the Ger is very all on fire when it comes to mitzvahs, and therefore HaKadosh Baruch Hu sees the Gerim mazkir v'nesem shel Yisrael. Hashem says to the regular guy, a guy born in Bnei Brak or Me'asharim, who's okay, just about. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to him, hey, look at the Ger. Look at Mackenzie's grandchild who moved next to you. So that's why, they're difficult for us because they are hard acts to follow, creating more kitrug. Last pshat is the Ri. The Ri says that the Gerim, with all due respect, are very choshuv people. They're not miyuchosim. They don't have yichus of Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov. And he learns the statement that we saw yesterday differently. He learns that when it says Ein hashchina shoiro el al mishpacha miyucheses, the Shechina only rests upon a yichus dika family. It means yichus Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, all the way down to Pachachovsky, to whoever. And the Gerim are not that. So maybe we have an issue here that there's less Ashra Shechina because as much as we love them on a personal level, when it comes to the Yichus of Klal Yisrael, there's less Ashra Shechina. So we have a whole galore of Pshatim. We have a big selection of Pshatim, of Gerim. Pick your choice. Tosfos also has questions. We're not going now to the whole of Tosfos. I just gave you a quick review of the whole, of all the different Pshatim of why are Gerim kosher. Definitely, we should be careful with the covered and love the Gerim. Now let's continue. So when the Kadosh Baruch Hu purifies the Shvatim of Klal Yisrael, according to Rashi, it's mashma from Rashi later. We're talking here Losid Lovoi, and here comes the $1 million question. This is the big question we're going to deal with today. We all know, we assume, and we're going to see later, and we saw already before, mamzerim usually don't advertise, I'm a mamzer, because my mother was very friendly with a neighbor, or because, reform, v'chule get, let it, slip by, I want a good shidduch. Maybe a mamzer was here Shemaim would tell us, sometimes the mamzer doesn't know he's a mamzer, and the parents don't say, So mamzerim can actually be assimilated into Klal Yisrael without anybody knowing. And the question is, we're all waiting for Mashiach, should come any day. And the question is, when Mashiach will come, will that be, will he throw a bomb and say, this son of Rosh Yeshiva is descending from Mamzerim, not Rosh Yeshiva himself, descending from Mamzerim, and this guy is kosher, and this guy is Tom, and this is a Chol, this is a Nosin. Will HaKadosh Baruch Hu organize everything and reveal the truth? Or maybe the opposite. Or maybe you're going to see opinions who say, no, Machlokes Rishonim, if there was a Sofek Mamzerus, there was a Sofek, or even Vade Mamzerus, maybe HaKadosh Baruch Hu, once the Mamzer 3, 4, 5 generations ago was assimilating into a family, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, even with the moment of truth will come, Hashem will not reveal the truth. Hashem will say, okay, once you're in, mister. That actually, we're going to see here two different approaches to that question. What will happen when Mashiach comes with the Mamzerim? It's not a 1 minute thing. We're going to see as the Sugya evolves, and I actually saw also the Shulchan Aruch about that. So now let's see. When the Baruch Hu is Metayr Shvatim, according to this opinion, Hashem will actually tell us this is Yichus, this is not Yichus, he's a Mamzer, he's a real Kohen, he's not a real Kohen, he's a Nosin. Shivto Shalevi Metal Tchila. The first Shevet, the first tribe that Hashem will purify and let us know the truth, first will be Shevet Levi. Shenemar, how do you know? It says, Vayeshev Metzoref Metaher Kesef, the one who's Metzaref, the one who's like purifying the gold and the silver to take out the dross from the pure metal. Metal Kesef, he purifies the silver. The tier S, and then it says it's going to purify who b'nei Levi. He will purify the sons of Levi, the Leviim and Koyanim. He will purify them, will make them clean like gold and silver. And then when Mashiach comes, they will serve Hashem an offering, the tzedakah, as charity. Okay, so this is one pshat. Hashem will first make sure that the Leviim are pure. The Maharsha explains why. What? Yeah, it will be painful because some Levim will realize they're not Levim, and some Levim will realize they're Mamzerim, and some Koyanim will know they're Chalolim. It could be a Kohen who walks with his nose up in the air, and there's a big Rosh Yeshiva and big Rosh Kohen, and people will say, when Mashiach will say, no, mister, you're disqualified. Yeah, it will be painful. So now that's the first pshat. Why the Levim first? Says the Maharsha, because the Kodesh Baruch Hu, I shouldn't say it about the Kodesh Baruch Hu, but I'm saying it tongue-in-cheek, self-interest. Who are the ones who are serving Hashem? The Levim. Hashem wants to use a clean vessel for himself. The ones who are serving me, first I want to make sure that they're serving Beis HaMikdash, that they are of good stock. They're from a Shein Mishpache. Yeah, the ones, those Levim. Mashenk and the other Shvatim, we'll deal with them second. We'll deal with them later. That's one shot. Amar B'Shua ben Levi. B'Shua ben Levi gives a different shot, and in fact argues in the first one, and he says, Kesef Metar Mamzerim. Money purifies the Mamzerim. You think money can't buy you love? Yeah, oh, that's what they say. Money can apparently buy you what? The purity of not being a mamzer, and soon you're going to see how. We're going to see Rashi in another pshat. How does money purify the mamzerim? Shenemar v'yoshev, the same posuk exactly. V'yoshev metzaref and metar kesef. Bekitzer, the same business. Hashem will be metzaref. Oh, Rabbi Shua Levi says, you know what's metzaref? You know what it means that you purify? There are two ways, yeah, how you can succeed in the test. You can work hard and get 100, or the teacher can lower his standards, right? And he can get 100 more easily, right? Okay, so then what? According to the first opinion, the great judgment day will come. Hashem will say, you see this guy, the Choshev guy, the big Rav? Ooh, mamzer. And that guy, very scary. Rabbi Shua ben Levi has a much more forgiving approach, and he says, no, once a kohen, once a mamzer, let's say, cholol, got into the nation, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will keep quiet even in a moment of truth. Because once he became part of the nation, but the Eved, it's okay. I'm talking now very general. Yeah, we'll see the details later. Says Rabbi Shua ben Levi, what's away from mamzer to go into the nation? Now that that's allowed, but the Eved, what happens? Well, Rashi says, Kipshutoi, my Megishe, or 1 second, yeah. Before that, says Rashi, why do people marry each other? For many reasons, and we all know in Shidduchim, family has money, they offer a son who learns in Panovich, a whole dirach, based $1 million, then what? Then there are better chances than other families. Life is cruel, but that's reality. So therefore, if a mamzer has a lot of money, he can it's easier for him or her to get into the nation through Shidduchim. Not that this is good, but that's reality. Unbelievable, the sidebar, one of the Rishonim recorded inside, I don't remember who, he says like that. How does a mamzer become a non-mamzer halachically in a kosher way? Kosher. What's a kosher way for Mr. Mams to become, okay? What does he have to do? Fly to Mauritania. Yeah, I don't know if he has to fly there. Buy a shifcha knainis, and then the rest is, and then the children are hers, and he's allowed to marry knainis, and then you free the children. Who can afford? I don't know how much a slave costs. Yeah, I don't know. I never bought one, right? And so you buying a slave, I assume it costs a lot of money. So the mamzer who's wealthy has the ability to buy a shifcha and then really become a kosher Jew, to have kosher children. Continues the Gemara, their line of thinking of Shua ben Levi. My megisha mincha b'tzedoko. What does tzedoko have to do with that? Yeah, they serve the mincha with tzedoko. Amar b'Yitzchak, and this is important to know. Tzedoko osa kodesh baruch hu im Yisrael shemishpacha shenitmeo nitmeo. Hashem is giving tzedakah, is charitable, is forgiving to Am Yisrael that a family shenitmea nitmea, which means once a family is already in, they're in, and therefore when Mashiach will come, yeah, they will not be, there won't be this big expose, but rather they'll stay in the nation according to this opinion. Okay, and what is it? And by the way, that also means something for us, as we're going to see later. The question that begs the question: if you know that somebody is a mamzer, or let's say you know that someone's grandfather is a mamzer and they're already married into choshev people, yeah, are you supposed to reveal or not supposed to reveal, to disclose their secret? That you're not Mashiach. I don't think anybody here is Mashiach with all due respect. But even before Mashiach, the question comes: do we say, once they're in, keep quiet, or do we say, no, I have to reveal to everybody and tell everyone about this horrible lie that this mamzer is amongst us? That question will arise later. Also, although we saw that some Amoraim, they did announce about certain people they're mamzerim, right? But there are different shitas in there. Gufa. Excuse me. Yes, yes. They serve mincha. Yeah, they serve mincha. Gufa. Omar Rav Yehuda Omar Shmuel. Yeah, we're now going to quote something that was mentioned before. Kol arotzas Israel Eretz Yisrael, Eretz Yisrael Israel Bavel. Right? All the lands, yeah, all different countries, all Jewish communities comparing to Eretz Yisrael are Isa. You know it's Isa? Mess. They're one big mess of mamzerim, like Isa is dough. Yeah, like the dough has many things you can't separate anymore. All countries relative to Eretz Yisrael are basically, excuse my language, messed up when it comes to mamzer, which means what? If you marry a lady from, I don't know, Kathmandu, from wherever, from outside Eretz Yisrael, you have to make sure very, very well that she's from kosher origin. Yeah, I'm not saying halacha l'maaseh, but that's what it says here. Eretz Yisrael is Bavel. Funnily enough, Eretz Yisrael comparing to Bavel is more mixed up. Wow, Eretz Yisrael is of a lower standard than Bavel. And we all know why. Why? Why did we say that? Because we know that Ezra took all the mamzerim out of Bavel and brought them to Eretz Yisrael. Why did you do that? So here they'll be under some supervision. Okay, but the Maisa, they're here. They're in Eretz Yisrael. And in Bavel, they were cleansed, they were cleared from Bavel, they cleared out, and therefore Eretz Yisrael, comparing to Bavel, is not as good. You have to, keep an eye on who you marry, even from Eretz Yisrael. Now, this is an Amoraic statement. This is something said by the Amoraim. The question is, how did the Tanoim before that, how did they relate to that? Amoraim, they didn't start history. Says the Gemara something very interesting. This is now going back before Rav Yehuda Shmuel. Says the Gemara. Bimei Rebbe, says the Braisa. In the times of Rebbe, we all know who Rebbe was, Rav Yehuda HaNavi, yeah, the author, the editor of the Mishnah. Bikshu lasas Bovel Israel. Oh, they wanted to, make Bavel Israel Yisrael, just the other way around. They wanted to say that Bavel is not as pure as Eretz Yisrael. They actually thought to say the other way around from Rav Yehuda Shmuel, that Eretz Yisrael is, well, a kosher, holy place. And therefore, if you want to marry a girl from Bavel, you should check her better than she should check you. You're an Eretz Yisrael Israeli. You want to marry a woman from Bavel? Bavel is not as good as Eretz Yisrael. That is what they thought to say then. Amar lahen, so Rebbe responded by saying, Koitzim atemesimim li bein einai. You're putting thorns between my eyes. What does it mean? Says the Rashi, Rebbe himself was of a Babylonian family because he was a descendant, as much as Yuchas, he was from Hillel. Hillel Hazaken, funnily enough, it says in Psochim, came from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael. Hillel made Aliyah. So this fancy family of Nesim, they came from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael. So now Rebbe is telling those people, you are actually kind of making fun of me. You're trying to cheper me on a personal level, and you're trying to tell me that, you see what? You see that I am of Babylonian origin, so maybe I'm not so kosher. Is that what you're telling me? So you know what? Maybe I'm really not the one who is able to talk. Maybe I'm an Gabadover, right? If I would say the Bavel is a kosher place, I'm going to say, thank you very much, right? And imagine yourself an American Rav coming and say, not American, a Rav from from Sweden comes and he says, I'm a Rav from Sweden. Everyone in Sweden is kosher al-Mehadrin. Sounds a bit funny. You're from Sweden, that's why you're saying it. Yeah, you want to protect yourself maybe. That's so in chem. You want to get an unbiased opinion? If you want, Yitapi Lamachem Rab Chanina Bar Chama. Rabbi Chanina Bar Chama, he will deal with that question of who's more kosher, Bavel or Eretz Yisrael. Nitpal Imoim Rabbi Chanina Bar Chama. Rabbi Chanina Bar Chama, really, he started taking care of business, telling them who's more kosher than who. Amar Lahem, Kach Mikublani. This I have as a Kabbalah, as something that I have accepted from earlier sources. Mikublani Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi, Shama Mishum Aviv. Yeah, in other words, it's not that Rebbe invented the idea of Bavel being more kosher. No, it's way before Rebbe. It's not Rebbe's own agenda, Chas v'Shalom. We see that Rabbi Shmuel, B'Shem Rabbi Yossi, is an earlier Tana who has nothing to do with Bavel. He was an Israeli through and through. And even he said, Kol Ha'otzes Yisrael Eretz Yisrael, Eretz Yisrael Yisrael Bavel, right? So we see that even an unbiased Tana, definitely all Israeli, all this, connected to Rabbi Akiva, nothing to do with Bavel, yeah? And those people too said that other countries are not as good as Eretz Yisrael, but with all due respect to Eretz Yisrael, it's less kosher than Bavel. We know why. We know why, because we know that Ezra brought all the mamzerim. The Maharsha says also that we wouldn't Chalila Stam suspect Rebbe, but the Mishnah that says that Ezra brought all 10 types of people, including mamzerim, that's Betzem who wrote the Mishnah, Rebbe. Rebbe is saying, all the mamzerim were taken out of Bavel. That's why, people from Bavel are okay. And then people say, Rebbe wrote the Mishnah with his own perspective, but maybe there's another perspective. And we say, no, other Tanoim say the same, even way before Rebbe, that Eretz Yisrael is not as good as Bavel, because Bavel is mamzer free. Now we continue more fascinating stories with the same idea. Bimei Rabbi Pinchas. Now we're going to see, do you or don't you reveal to the public that some people are mamzerim? Bimei Rebbe, in the times of Bimei Rabbi Pinchas. In the times of Rabbi Pinchas, also a Tana, I see a little gears on the side. Bikshu lasas Bavel Yisrael Eretz Yisrael. They wanted to change it, and they wanted to say no. They wanted to say that really Bavel is not as good as Eretz Yisrael. Eretz Yisrael is pure. We have the rabbis. We know what we're doing, and it's all under control. If anything, Bavel, those chutznikim in Bavel, they are more of mamzerim. Amar lehem lavodov. In other words, they want to basically say they lived in Eretz Yisrael, and they believe that Eretz Yisrael is mamzer free. Right? Ellen, your question of yesterday will be answered now. Right? You asked, how does the rabbi know that they're mamzerim? So as I told you, rabbis know things from inside information that other people don't. Let's see. Amar lehem lavodov. Rabbi Pinchas now is saying something very dramatic. He's telling his avodim, his servants, Shani oimer shnei dvorim bebeis hamedrash, tluni ba'arisa verutzu. Let me explain. Rabbi Pinchas started to give a drosha regarding mamzerus, and he was going to throw a bomb. Wow. Says Rabbi Pinchas to his servants, I'm an old man, I can't walk. I will give now 2 halachas in the Beis Medrash, halacha 1, halacha 2. And I'm pre-planning with you, the move, the escape. Once I say the second halacha, take me into my arisa, into like my bed, like a rickshaw, like a movable bed, and run with me. In other words, I want to escape the Beis Medrash. The second I finish to throw the bomb, saying the second halacha, boom, we're making a quick run, a quick exit, and soon we're going to see why. He's going to say something that he does not want to elaborate on, and we're going to know why soon. So what was the story? Ki Ayel, drama, full of drama, this perek. Ki Ayel, Rabbi Pinchas now entered the Beis Medrash. Imagine all the Talmidim listening to Rabbi Pinchas, the Heilige. Omar lehem. So halacha number 1, he told them, soon you're going to see why, Ein shchita l'oif min haTorah. There is such an opinion in Maseches Chulin that an oif, if you want to shecht any kind of kosher bird, fowl, any kind of bird, you don't have to do shchita. What does it mean? I checked the Rashi over there. That opinion holds that min haTorah, not min d'Rabbanan. Min haTorah, it says v'shofach hadam, es adam. All you have to do by the bird, is to spill blood by cutting the simonim, cutting the pipes or one pipe even, But you don't have to follow all the details. You can even cut it from the back, from the front, whatever, do whatever you want. You're not allowed to, boom, hit it on the head, Mackenzie style, or that's nevela, because there is nevela, right? There is such a thing by oath. Or if he dies naturally, you can't eat it. But if you use a knife and you shecht it, you don't have to be makbid on any detail, midoraisa, only midorabonon, So that's obviously a very controversial thing to say, right? And the Talmidim, they were like, can you imagine the Rav saying such a thing? You don't have to shech the chicken, do whatever you want. So everyone was like, all bustling and hustling about that halacha. He did that on purpose. In other words, because the Rabbi Pinchas is about to throw a halachic bomb, he wanted first people to be very engaged with a me'ayni bo, talking, the Rosh Yeshiva just said such an amazing Kiddush. Let's learn what's a sword, how does he know? Let's start all the lomdus, all the iyun. And then he threw the bomb while they are unprepared. Omer Lihu, and he told them, Kol arotzos Yisrael Eretz Yisrael, Eretz Yisrael Yisrael Bavel. We know that, but they didn't. He's basically telling them, if we take out other countries out of the equation and we compare Eretz Yisrael to Bavel, Eretz Yisrael is worse than Bavel. Why is it such a big bomb? Because what's he really saying, Isa? He's not teaching them cooking. Yeah? What's he saying to them? He's saying, guys, I'm sorry to burst your bubble. Yeah, rabbis, in the Bais Medrash, in our country, in Eretz Yisrael, there are mamzerim. So why did he run away? Natlu barisa v'ratzu. Yeah, they took him in the bed and they ran away. Well, let's stop there. He's running. We're not running. Why did he run? You know why? He did not want them to ask the obvious question. What would be the next question? He's saying, there are mamzerim amongst us in our country. Everyone's going to ask him in public, who is that? Who are they? Who are they? Who are the mamzerim? We're all kosher people in the Bais Medrash. We want gite sheine shiduchim for the kinderlach, and I want to know who are the mamzerim. That he didn't want to say. Oh, why? Because this resonates very well to me with what the Ramos says. I'm jumping the gun a little bit. If somebody knows of I'm talking in general. If somebody knows of a mamzerim family, right, he's not supposed to advertise it, make it public knowledge. But when a specific friend of yours is about to marry the family, which you know has mamzer issues, you go to him, good friend, you want your son for their daughter? I know that. So basically, that's what he was doing. To say public knowledge, people should be aware, should get out of the la-la land or the cuckoo land. Don't think everybody in our country is kosher, not mamzerim. Be aware that there are mamzerim. Who are they? I don't want to tell you. Because he was so adamant about not telling them, he preferred to run away and exhibit the idea, I'm not telling you. So what are they going to do? Obviously, they'll do their own homework, as we're going to see now. You want to do your own homework? Do your own homework quietly, but I'm not going to say in public who's a mamzer and who's not. Especially that according to some people, we're talking about Suffolk mamzerim. So maybe it's Lashon Hara. That's another nekuda. Let's continue the story. Ratzu Achov, they ran after him, after the bed which was carried by his mighty slaves. V'lo higiu, they did not reach him. They couldn't make it. Avodim, they went into a taxi and said, just ride as fast as you can. Yeah, he just ran away and nobody else could catch him. But then what did the Talmidim do? They took the job upon themselves. Rabbi Pinchas just threw a bomb. Let us start. And now they didn't do it quietly. Those Talmidim, Yoshvu Ubodku, they started sitting down and really interrogate and investigate and find out who are the mamzer dike families. And they checked and checked. It came to a point of danger, and then they stopped the investigation. Why danger? Because some families of mamzerim, if you advertise and publicize the fact that they're mamzerim, you're going to get a phone call the morning after. You said my family is a mamzer. I know where you live. I know where your bed is, and I have a friend who knows how to install bombs. In other words, some mamzerim family are dangerous, and at that point they stopped. They didn't want to risk their own lives by publicizing and revealing who are the mamzer families. Okay. So now this is very interesting, and that's really the halacha. Before I'm saying the halacha, that's what they did. That's the story. End of story. Yes, they came across some far from them. Yeah, absolutely. Now, we're getting now more halachic. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Heichalo. Heichalo means I swear in the name of the Heichal. Yeah, the Maharsha says that even though the Heichal, Beis HaMikdash, does exist today, but if you swear by the holiness of Beis HaMikdash, it's a strong shvuah. It's a real oath. because the Kedusha based on Mikdash never left. It's Kodesh, it's just not there, but the place is holy. Echolo, I swear, Beyadenu he means I know. I know who are the apostle families in Eretz Yisrael. I know who the mamzerim in Eretz Yisrael are. Aval ma ese, what can I do? Oh, this is important. Because Gdol Hador, important people already were assimilated in those families, I will not reveal their secret. Now I told you before. What was Rabbi Yitzchak's statement before? Same thing. The Omar Rabbi Yitzchak mishpacha shenitma nitmea, which means Rabbi Yitzchak believes as follows. Now everything comes into a picture together. Now let me tell you a little bit more practical. Yeah, basically this opinion, according to Rashi, what we say is as follows: when you have families that already were assimilated into Klal Yisrael, according to Rashi, only if it's a suffix, machlokes rishonim. Rashi says, we know there is some kind of question of mamzerus. I'm a rabbi, let's say, in a community, and my other rabbi, I somehow heard something about mamzerus. It's a suffix. Do I have to, not fear and work hard and find out who's the mamzer? If it's a suffix, according to Rashi, no. Yanichum, there are suffix mamzerim, it's okay for now. And in future, as we just saw b'Shem Rav Yitzchak, they will also be okay. Why do I have to be better than Eliyahu HaNavi and Mashiach? Even in future, those mamzerim that already got in, yeah, okay, let them be in if they're already suffix. According to Rashi, if it's a vadai, if I know for sure there's a mamzerus, then I do have to reveal. If it's a suffix, I don't have to start interrogating. But if I know specifically that this guy, whatever, Reuven Shemanovsky, he had relations with whoever, and this is a mamzer, and he married that daughter, and now they have a grandson. If I know the story, then I do have to reveal it. Okay? Now the Ramah says, as I told you before, that you don't reveal it in public, but you say to people quietly if it's relevant. But this opinion here says, I'm not going to say who are those families. Once the nitma, which by the way, does not contradict what we saw yesterday. The whole bunch of statements about Meroim, he's a mamzer. That's before there were nitma. Everyone agrees that if you know about one single guy, he is a mamzer. You know about those families, they're 100% mamzer, and they did not yet marry into the rest of the nation. Oh, good parents. And you, what we said before, Alan. Let's say there's a family that always marry into themselves. Let's say those people of this disgusting pashchul guy, or a family of mamzerim, I know they're mamzerim, and I'm keeping one, and they always marry amongst themselves. Let them mamzer away. But if all of a sudden somebody modern, new age, and new this, and one of the children wants to marry a regular family, before that happens, of course I have to publicize, 100%. But after it happened, then according to Rashi, I have to publicize because it's a vada, not a sofek. According to Ramban, even vada I don't have to publicize. And once nitma, but sofek l'kula alma, if somebody's already in, there's a family that I know there's a mamzer, but it's a sofek who what? I'm not sure exactly what the story is. There's chashash mamzeros, and it's already after the whatever I think was done already. They're nitma, and it's a sofek. I don't have to reveal. I don't have to be smarter, and definitely not in public. I don't have to say it to anybody, and that's exactly what Rabbi Yochanan is telling us. Amar Abaye, Afanana mitnina, says Abaye, we have a Mishnah that supports the same idea. Mishpachas Beis Tzrifa. There was a family called Beis Tzrifa. We even call them by name. Look, Hoysa be'ever Yarden. They lived in Transjordan, from the river to the sea. They lived. Yeah, the Beis Tzrifa. They lived be'ever Yarden. The Richaka ben Zion bezoa. Ben Zion was was a very powerful person, a kind of guy I don't want to mess up with, some kind of tough leader. Yeah, I don't know how religious, how not. It doesn't sound like that. But that Ben Zion, he was merachek bizroya. In other words, he made sure that they don't marry anybody. Yeah, he made sure Adam Choshuv, he announced they're possible. There was a family that there was something in what he said. There were psulim, and he announced they are possible. Nobody should marry them. Boom, possible. Okay, that's what he did. Now, could be he was right, because if they didn't yet marry into other people, then maybe he's doing the right thing. And however, now comes a funnier story. There was another family that, for obvious reasons, were not mentioning their name. Also a problematic family, the Kirva ben Zion Bezroya. Ooh, there's a family in which, according to Rashi, we know we know that that family was a problematic family. Mamzer nosin something, and Ben Zion, the same Ben Zion, was so tough on the other family, he kind of forced people to marry them. He by force brought them into the nation. Oh, so these people for sure are known to be mamzerim, and everybody knows they're mamzerim. Why do so and so, not so religious guy, marry those mamzerim? Because Ben Zion, Mr. Ben Zion decided, I'm running the show and I'll make sure that they're coming into the nation. Oh, says the Gemara, now you'll understand what I said before about Rashi, Kigon Elu, people like that, meaning people whom we know are mamzerim, and we know that they came into the nation unjustifiably, not through through the right, not in the right way, not correctly, like Bezroa. Such families, Eliyahu ba letame uletayr lerachik ulekarev. Yeah. In other words, those families that came like that, Eliyahu HaNavi will reveal the truth. Those families, the truth will be revealed, and Eliyahu HaNavi will purify, impurify, get close, get near. Those families that we know are problematic, there's nothing we can do. Those families that Eliyahu HaNavi will make sure, no. Ava kigon elu deyadim, the Gemara's medaik, such families who are known to be mamzerim. Ava mishpacha shenitmea nitmea. Now Rashi's pshat is very good. A family that already assimilated, already a few generations, or I don't know, one generation, once a family is assimilated into the rest of the nation, such a family, we say that Eliyahu HaNavi will leave them alone. Following Rabbi Yitzchak, once they're in, they're in. Oh, but Rashi is very good now. Rashi says, who cares, nitma? But if we know that they're mamzerim, it's the same thing like Ben Zion. That's what Rashi says, nitma is besofik. If I have a family, you need two requirements to be good in the times of Mashiach if you're a questionable origin. First of all, sofek, and it's already nitma. Then Eliyahu HaNavi will leave you alone. Tana comes the Gemara with more information on the same idea. Tana, oid acheres hoisa, there was another family. Oh, again, same idea. Chachamim did not want to reveal the identity of that family, and the family keeps, growing and generating. Yeah, Chachamim did not want to make it into public knowledge, so people should stay away. Again, sofek, nitma, whatever, they're already in. We're not making a public stink out of it. Yeah, excuse me. Aval chachamim moisrim oisoi lebneim ultalmiden pamachas b'shavua. Chachamim, Ellen, this is the answer to your question. The Chachamim amongst themselves, they sit in their own chamber, so to speak, and they give the name to their own children to stay away from, and their own Talmidim. So there should be a tradition from rabbi to rabbi once every 7 years. The Amri la pa'amayim b'shavua. Some say that twice every 7 years we convene and we make this a quiet convention, and we say so and so family is possible, so and so family is possible. So amongst us, we know to stay away from them, although we don't make it into public knowledge. That's the anhoga. Makes sense with the Ramah. Well, we said b'shem the Ramah that you don't make public knowledge, but if you know personally, tell your friend, between you and me, stay away from them. Now the question is, in a minute, okay. Omar of Nachman bar Yitzchak. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak is now clarifying that little question: how often do Chachamim gather to remind ourselves of the apostle families? Is it once every 7 years or twice every 7 years? It makes sense that only once every 7 years, once in a Shemitah cycle, we go and we get together to announce the mamzerim. Why? Tanya. We see from the following brisa that the less you say about the mamzerim, the better. Why? It says there, Areni nozir imloi agal mishpoches. A person says as follows: it's burning in my tongue to reveal, you don't know what I know. You don't know what I know. Oh, there are those families in the community, pillars of the community, they give a lot of money to tzedakah and they're chashuv. I have so much to say about all these families. And if I do not say, I prefer being a nozir. I'm announcing myself a nozir. I'll become a nozir, right? In order to keep quiet, yeah, I'll become a nozir. What does nozir have to do with keeping quiet? Nozir doesn't drink wine and mesim. Says the Malshah something very interesting. The Yosifun says that Nazirim, I'm not sure it's the same Nazir with the long hair in this, but Nazirim would go to the midbar. They would go to the desert, live there alone, and not talk to anybody. Like Lahavdil in monasteries. In Hebrew, it's called Nazir. Yeah, like hermits. So he says, I'm going to live on my own, not talk to anybody. I prefer that, and I'm announcing myself as Nazir, in order not to reveal the families. So what do we tell him? Because to be a Nazir is an Avera. To be a Nazir is not a good thing. Sometimes it says Nazir is the Choite. Says the Braisa, "Ye Nazir v'lo yigala mishpacha." Don't threaten us. You'll become a Nazir. Better become a Nazir with all the problematic aspects. Be a Nazir and don't reveal the families. So we see the revealing and publicizing the families is not such great shakes, and not exactly something so good. And therefore, if Chachamim have to do that within closed doors in order to maintain some kind of purity, at least quietly, even that should be done in a minimal way, only once 7 years and not twice every 7 years. And you're very, very patient. Yeah. What's your question? And then we continue a little bit late. Yeah. Let's continue. We're now continuing on a similar topic. Some things are taught in public and some things are not. That's the issue now. That's the topic. Some things you only teach, Talmid Chachamim, right? In certain settings, more quiet settings, intimate, and you don't teach it to everybody else. See under Lolenu Kabbalah to Goyim, what's going on is absolutely crazy and foolish. Shem ben Arba Oisiyos. You know that a Kodesh Baruch Hu has all types of names. Some names we know and we pronounce, and some names are way holier than us, than the common knowledge of the common person. So now we say that the Shem ben Arba Oisiyos, the name of the 4 letters names, which is possibly Yud Ke Vav Ke, as we're going to see. Chachamim moisrin oiselo tilmidem pa'machas b'shavua ve'amri la pamayim b'shavua. Chachamim moisrin lo tilmidem. What's to be moiser lo tilmidem? So Rashi says kriosoi uksivosoi uperushoi. So I'm not sure if this is Yud Ke Vav Ke, although it does sound like that, yeah. But Lemaisa, the name of the 4 letters name of Kadosh Baruch Hu, to how to pronounce it and how to write it and how to, I would say mainly the kavana behind it, the perushoi, the deep meaning of the name, only Chachamim tell. I guess there's something they know which we don't. They tell the Talmidim over once every 7 years, or twice every 7 years. Same as before, it makes sense that the transmission of the holy names, whatever that means, is only given once every 7 years and not twice. Why? Dichtiv, it says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu told Moshe, Ze Shmi Le'olam. Ze Shmi Le'olam means what? That's my name forever. But Le'alam Ksiv. In other words, it's not written with the Vav, Le'alam Le'alem. What's Ne'elam? Hidden. Ne'alam, hidden, vanished, disappearing, hidden. Ksiv, it says Le'alam means you have to make sure that it's Ne'elam and hidden from the public eye. Rove Sovel Midrash Bepirka. Rove thought, no, I'm going to teach it in public, not to every woman and child. I'm going to teach it in Shiur. I'll give a public Shiur, Kabbalah. I'll give a public Shiur with what? With explaining all the depth of the 4-letter name. Amar lahu Saba, that elderly Chacham, the sage, told Rava, Le'alam Ksiv. No, Rava, don't, stay away from that. It's not Le'olam, it's not for the Oilam, not for the Tzibur. It's Le'alem. You're supposed to keep it in hiding, only say to those who really can take it. And by the way, I want to explain something that Rashi will say later about another name. To really know how to use the name of Hashem, we all say, Bochato Adoi, what's the big deal? But if you know how to really connect with the name of Hashem, it's like dynamite. You can use it for the wrong purposes. You can create kishuf or klolo. If I would say about somebody, chas v'sholom, what's klolo? In the name of Adoi, he should die. If I say that, it's an avera, either it's going to happen, it won't happen. But a person who really knows the deep meaning and the connection to Adoi, and he says the guy is going to die, he's going to drop dead. Right? So if you give that powerful tool, that dynamite, to a person who's not up to it, right, who does not really deserve it, doesn't know how to use it carefully, it's very dangerous. So it's not just chilul kodesh that every child thinks in knows Kabbalah. Also, there's something dangerous in knowing and possibly misusing the name of Hashem. Rabbi Avina Rami. Rabbi Avina is asking a question from 2 psukim. He's going to answer it very quickly. Ksiv ze shmi, and then it says Uchsiv ze zichri. In other words, it doesn't say ze shmi v'zichri. This is my name and this is my zecher. Now, zecher is memory or remembering. Zecher also lehazkir, to mention. So what does it mean? It doesn't say ze shmi zichri. It says that's my name and that's the way I'm pronounced. That's the way I'm nizkar, I'm mentioned. Why is it written in two different psukim? Isn't it all the same? As we all know, it's not. When you open a siddur, what's written? Baruch Ato Yud Ke Vav Ke. Do you say Yud Ke Vav Ke? I hope not. Yeah, he says Baruch Ato Adoi. So you see the words Yud Ke Vav Ke and you pronounce Aleph Daled Nun Yud. That's the business. The way I am written is not the way that I'm being pronounced. Nizkar. I'm not being pronounced. Nichtab ani beyud K. The way it's written is Yud Ke Vav Ke. 26. A lot of different ideas there. V'nikra b'alef daled. The way it is written, the way it's pronounced by us is adnus, is adoy. In other words, the Kodesh Baruch Hu himself is Yud Ke Vav Ke is mehave. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the real. What's Yud Ke Vav Ke? What's lehavot, lithavot? To be. To be. Yad Hashem hoyo b'miknecha. It says in the Dever, hoyo is like being, is. The only thing that really is in the world that exists is Hashem. That's a real reality. We don't see it that way. The way that we pronounce it is Adon. He is our master. We see Hashem in a way that's more constricted. He is our master. So for us, he's an Adon. That's the way we pronounce it. But in real reality, he's way more than that. He's just everything that's there. Tana Rabbanan, we have to continue. Tana Rabbanan. More on the same. And before we continue, I just want to tell you, there's one place in the world where the name Yud Ke Vav Ke was pronounced Yehovah, was pronounced as it's written, and that is in the Holy Temple, in the Beis HaMikdash. Beis HaMikdash, that's where they would pronounce it, only up to the times of Shimon HaTzadik. We know that in Bais Sheni, the death of Shimon HaTzadik marked a very big a drop in standards, in spiritual standards. Shimon HaTzadik died. There was no Ner Maravi and all this and not that. And also, once Shimon HaTzadik nifter, then the Kohanim would not pronounce Yehovah, but they would pronounce it Adoi. Right? That was all. Having said that, let's see the Braisa. Tana Rabbanan. Berishoina Shem ben 12 oisiyos. Oh, apparently there's a name, higher, holier, 12 letters name. I don't know the name. Originally, they would tell any person the name of with the 12 letters name. Eventually, there were a lot of people who are poruts, says Rashi, hamishtamshin boy. A lot of people who are poruts, not celebrities. People who are misbehaving, bad people, they would misuse it. They would curse people. They would just not treat it respectfully. It's giving a dynamite to the wrong kind of country, to the Hamas. So then we decided, let's close the club over here. Let's give it a much more, select elite group. Only the tznuim shebekehuna, only the tzaddikim of the kohanim. And what would they use it for? Birkas kohanim. Not every kohen. In Bais Sheni, not all the kohanim were tzaddikim. See under Maseches Yuma, all the kohanim, But the good kohanim, the real tzaddikim kohanim, in order to give bracha, use it for the bracha, the opposite of klala. Birkas kohanim, the tznuim shebekehuna, they would actually pronounce the 12 letters name in the Beis HaMikdash. 1 minute. But tznuim shebekehuna. Now the tznuim shebekehuna, that's a bit funny. Why? Because some kohanim are just regular folks or not such tzaddikim. They're not allowed to say the 12 letters name, right? On the other end, the tznuim, they say the whole name. So how do Birkas kohanim function? At tznuim shebekehuna mavlim oisoi b'ne'im asachem kohanim. The tznuim shebekehuna, like in an undertone, they would say it quietly while the other kohanim were singing. In other words, as the other kohanim say, right? Even today, kohanim kind of sing the Birkas kohanim. They elongate the voice, the sounds. At that time, the other kohen would quickly say or quietly the 12 letters name. Okay, continue a little bit. Tanya Rabbi Tarfon, we'll finish now. Rabbi Tarfon comes to endorse this story. Rabbi Tarfon was a kohen on both sides. Both his father and father was a kohen, mother was also of a Kohanite family. Says Rabbi Tarfon, Rabbi Tarfon lived in the times of Beis HaMikdash. I followed my mother's brother to the Duchan, my maternal uncle to the Duchan. And I was listening to the Kohen Gadol. Very nice. And I heard that he was, kind of mavliya, was hiding, was bringing in his voice amongst the ne'ima, the music of the other kohanim. he would quickly say, I don't know if quickly or quietly, he managed to insert the 12-letter names for the Kohen Gadol, while other Kohanim were just saying, and he was saying the 12 letters name. Because not everyone can do that, and only in Beis HaMikdash. Okay, tomorrow we're starting Bezos Hashem, Omer V'Yodom Arav. Tomorrow we're going to talk about 42 letters name. Woo-hoo! Who do you give the name of 42 letters? Atzlacha Brocha. I'm going to your questions now, you and then you. And Bezos Hashem, all will be well. We'll be zeichet to see Mashiach very soon. Mamish b'chorb. Atzlacha Brocha. Thank you to our viewers on Torah Anytime and YouTube. Thank you. Yes.